Hello, everyone. How difficult was life for women of power? No queen or any other powerful woman was safe. No matter what good stuff they would do, the bad is always going to eclipse the good. Today, I'm going to share the top 4 most villainized royal women in history, family murderer, poisoner, serial killer, and more. I will explain who they were, how they got that bad reputation, and what is history's most accurate interpretation. Make sure you stay till the end because the last queen I'm going to share, for me, is the most impressive. Hey, Historical Jolidda here. I am an English, history, and ESL teacher. I am also an avid reader of biographies and other historical topics. Nothing has captured my imagination the way popular culture has treated famous women in history. If you're wanting to learn more about powerful women in history, please check out my free reading list linked in the description below. The first most villainized woman is Queen Isabelle of Spain. Considered the greatest queen in all medieval Europe, she was born in Avila, Spain in 1451. She was a daughter of the King and Queen of Castile. As a woman, and since she had a niece and 2 brothers, she was not expected to rule. However, after the deaths of her siblings and the illegitimacy of her niece, she struggled for many years to claim her right to the throne. Luckily, through her marriage with King Ferdinand of Aragon, Spain was finally unified. Sadly, she was known as being the only one that started the Spanish Inquisition against the Muslims and Jews. She was also known for reconquering Granada, which saw the Muslims expelled. Although a tough, ruthless, and somewhat unsympathetic character, one must manage to comprehend that she was a product of her time, when conquering lands was acceptable. What people, or most people, don't know was that she made Spain one of the richest and most powerful nations in the world, thanks to her sponsoring Columbus to travel to the New World. She also promoted educational equality for everyone, especially women. She saw to it that female intellectuals would get accepted into Spanish universities and become professors as well. She even started tents as frontline emergency hospitals for her injured soldiers, where her and her ladies in waiting, as well as their daughters, would tend to the injured. But her greatest accomplishment was making Spain one of the safest countries to live in. I have a great book listed about Queen Isabella. You can check it out, read my synopsis of it by getting my reading list linked down below. The second most villainized royal woman in history was Catherine de Medici. The renowned Queen of Consort of France was born in Florence, Italy, and she came from the famous Medicis, who were known to be non-royal multimillionaires. Due to her immense dowry, she was sent as a child bride to the King of France's second son. Over the years, she had to endure humiliation not only by her husband, but the French court as well. Luckily, she was an intelligent woman who silently found ways to survive and had to endure rumors that she was a poisoner and that she had her elder brother-in-law poisoned so she could become Queen of France. Once her husband died, she ruled during the most tumultuous times in French history. She was accused of instigating the Saint Bartholomew's massacre of 1572, in which thousands of Protestants were murdered. How could one woman be the figurehead of a systematic organization led by hate and bigotry, when she tried so hard to make peace by marrying her youngest daughter to the Protestant king known as Henry of Navarre, and she had to put France's interest above her family issues when she had to meet Henry of Navarre so that they can come to terms on religious tolerance. Luckily, their hard work came to fruition when they created the Edict of Nantes a few years later. Was it indeed in her power to end the war that has been brewing for decades between both religions? Sadly, 100 years later, Louis XIV of France revoked this Edict of Nantes that was supposed to promote religious tolerance. I mean, shouldn't we hold him accountable for his crimes? I think we should. The third most villainized royal woman in history, and even more interesting case, was Elizabeth Bathory. She was a Hungarian noblewoman and alleged serial killer who endured great notoriety because it was said that she brutally murdered hundreds of her female servants. If her crimes were true, they were indeed horrific, but the way she has been talked about, reduced to nothing but a legend of a witch who bathed in the blood of her victims. She was even the inspiration behind the novel Dracula, and enjoys none of the fame that the Count enjoys in stories and movies. She was only thought of as a brutal murderer, a mad woman, a sorceress, even though there are theories that she was a victim of conspiracies. Conspiracies are nothing new, even for today, especially if you were a different religion and that you have more money than the actual king. Since the king owed her money and she rejected any offers of marriages after her husband died, could it be that her arrest for murdering women was just a cover-up to get her to be silenced, sent away, and no longer a threat of money and power? Especially if the person who started the arrest was the man she rejected quite a few times. Once arrested, she was sentenced to a lonely house arrest and a slow death in her castle. Was she a murderer, or was she just being Queen Bee, a strong independent woman who had to put her foot down because her servants were so many, her castles were so many, and they could have easily taken advantage of her? What do you think? Finally, the fourth most impressive but villainized royal woman was known as WuZien of China. She was born in the central part of China during the Tang Dynasty to a minor royal family. Due to her good looks, she was sent at the age of 14 to become a concubine of the Emperor of China. And not only did she catch the eye of the emperor, but his son as well. History has not been kind to WuZien, and when I mean she was impressive, she was indeed someone to admire. Her rise to power was bloody with tales of sabotage, poisonings, and murdering not only her enemies, but family as well. She had to use her intelligence to dispose the emperor's other favorites, even using rumors that the rivals poisoned her own newborn daughter. Later on, her enemies actually accused her of poisoning her own daughter just to get back at their rivals, even accusing her of butchering her own siblings, poisoning her own mother, and cutting the rivals' hands and legs. One has to understand that all these accusations were created by Confucius, who were pro-men and anti-woman. So what made WuZien phenomenal, especially at a place where females were treated even worse than in Europe? First of all, China saw a golden age when China flourished economically by lowering taxes for peasants to make their lives easier. She even started new farming productions that made China the land of plenty. She gave commoners and women a chance for an education and better themselves. She got rid of stuck-up royal men out of their offices and gave it to intelligent women and commoners. Militarily, she kept China safe from invasions and made the Silk Road a safe place to travel. What she also did was that she listened. She installed copper boxes in every corner of the cities where citizens can make complaints and legislations. Although her legacy remained tainted, she had to use her hard-won power for a greater good. Anyone she reminds you of? Let me know in the comments below. Sometimes you can't always believe everything you hear. Looking at these legacies of historical figures, it is easy to forget they are also human beings caught in a complex web of politics. We only see them as caricatures. The virgin, the mother, the seductress, the witch, the manipulator, the poisoner, and so forth. Not saying they were angels, I mean, who is? All I can say is that any historian will tell you the truth is real complicated, and it was survival of the fittest. All these stories made me appreciate and respect these villainized women. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to get notified for my next video. I would love to hear your comments and thoughts, and If there are other women, please let me know. If this was helpful, let me know and give it a like.